This past weekend was preview weekend for Warhammer on the Warhammer community website, and they've been doing this a lot more since lockdown started. But it's great to see. I mean, people that play the game want to see what new is coming down the pike, and it was not a bad one, especially for someone for myself, who wants to play vampires. So the name of it was Faith and Damnation. And let's take a look at it. We'll just jump right into it. I'm not going to play the videos because a lot of them they're just promo videos. They're like 30 seconds to a minute. But we'll take a look at the images, which is really what everybody cares about. So the first thing that they have on here is Blood Knights. So they're releasing Soul Blight, which is a vampire group. And that's been in the rumor mill for a long time, so this is not a surprise. And they've been leaking out vampire models one by one over the past couple months, so this is not a surprise at all. But this is the first look at the new Blood Knights. Now, the Blood Knights have not been refreshed in a long time. In fact, let me I pulled up the old website here so that people could see. This is what the old Blood Knights look like. And to be honest with you, I mean, until you see the new ones, everybody's like, wow, they're very cool. People liked them for a long time. Definitely had the old paint job where it was all about edging, right? And the old banner. I mean, this has been the traditional type banner that you would see in Warhammer forever, since the very beginning. And they're giving that up to go with more of a high dynamic banner, which I think is a great choice. I really like the swooping effect where it's not a straight flag. It has this shape, and the shape follows along with the image on the actual flag. So that's fantastic. I mean, that looks gorgeous. I would love to make these. This definitely harkens to vampires, but also being a Blood Angel player in 40K, this fits right in also. But the work on the in particular, I like the armor on the horses is really nice, and of course that was always a highlight on the old models. But now it's this nice dark red that fades up into a light red at the edge. And then on the very, very tip, there's like edge highlighting. I never paint them that way, but it's a great effect in this case. And they look awesome. And then, of course, the blue highlighting, the blue edging on the black looks great all the time. There seems to be a theme going with all of their hair, like defying gravity. All of their hair seems to go up in these models, and I'm not sure why that is. If they're supposed to be flying or floating or they're lighter than air, I'm not sure if there's some theme to that, but it is kind of interesting to see that they seem to do that routinely. Here's one with a helmet. The helmets look cool. I mean, they're kind of what you would expect, to be honest with you. The collars are more what I'm interested in, how they mimic the helmet. So there's definitely a speed theme to the aesthetic to these. So even though the horses, this one is at a full run, but the way that the armor is both that Batwing kind of feel, but when you have these V-shaped spikes going past, it all creates motion. That's what the aesthetic is creating motion. So I'm hoping, being a nerd of this game, I'm really hoping that this translates into some kind of mechanics where they're extremely fast or they teleport or something. But they should be, with the way that they look, all of this swooping effect, they should be extremely fast would be one of the attributes that you would think they would have. But that's the Blood Knights. That's the first thing you see. And then new skeletons. These are great. I mean, they're not what I expected. So the original skeletons, and forgive me if I hit the wrong thing. The original skeletons look like... Really? I'm going to go through all of them before I hit the right thing. Here we go. The original skeletons look like this. So these are the skeletons that these new models would be replacing. The Death Rattle skeleton battle line. And, I mean, they're as traditional as you can get. The thing that strikes me is that you have equal amount if not more, that are just plain skeletons, like almost naked skeletons. And then there's a few that have armor and shields and other things on them. In the new ones, you have that in every model. Every one of them is wearing armor. They all have cloth on them now, so they're all a little bit more uniform, which is nice, but they're thicker in general. I think that that's one thing that I think I have mixed feelings about, because I think of that as an upgraded unit. It looks nice, but it makes me wonder what they're going to do with the Death Guard, which is the upgraded version of that, which is these. These are the old ones. And I mean, the new regular skeletons look like the old upgraded skeletons. So I am curious if these are going to get a massive reboot, because they kind of look the same now. I mean, this very much could easily be confused with this. I really do like this here, the torn flag. The color of the flag is great. The logo on the top of the flag is great. The shields are absolutely gorgeous. It's not as crazy as what we've been seeing with some of these STL designers out on Patreon, where it's like Shield Challenge lately, where they're just going as nuts with shield detail as they can. But these are all really, I mean, top notch. And Games Workshop is normally top notch. Usually these guys are who are leading what the design choices, the design space for miniatures are going to be. You're going to switch to Games Workshop and see what they're doing. So these are great. The fact that this is the Battle Line group, the way they stand on here makes me wonder how tall they are, because this, I'm assuming, is going to remain as a 25 mil base. So given how much room a couple of these have on the base, it makes me wonder how big the actual model is. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. They're probably the same size as before. Here's the new zombies. And I have them here, right here. And this is way, way, way overdue. These have become comically famous in the industry as the goofy zombies that have not been replaced for 1,000 years. I mean, these are, even the paint job, you can tell it's very, very old. Well loved. People, have played them forever, and they do like them. But they're definitely goofy. They're kind of the funny, goofy aesthetic of a zombie. It's not like actually scary. It's like they're trying to be a little silly with it. And I do feel like that these new ones, while they're trying to update them and make them a higher quality model, I do feel like they try and retain a little bit of the silliness. And frankly, zombies are a silly concept anyways. So they do look good. I'm not a big zombie fan. I don't know if there's a reaction from people that play zombies a lot. There's some interesting design choices. This seems to be a running theme now, is the spike going through the ground and then the zombie lifting up the whole thing. There's a couple of them that do this. And it doesn't bother me, but at the same time, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't know if there was a pitch meeting where someone would say, this is going to redo how we do zombies. I don't see it that way, because it just feels like a very immobile zombie. But I do like some of the motion in some of them. They definitely feel like they're just creeping along, or that they're about to fall over. This is great. This is a nice piece here. The other thing is their paint jobs aren't overly detailed. They're kind of they feel like they're a little loosely painted, and that may be on purpose too. But this one hangs way over the edge of the base. And again, look how much room is left on the base. So I'm assuming these are 25 mil bases. They would have to be, because these are all horde type armies. They're swarming type armies. So I can't imagine that it's going to go larger than a 25 mil base. But these do look good. Nice coloring in this too. I mean, I like the way this is painted. But this is another one where the spike goes through the ground, through the model. And there seem to be a lot of these. Like when you look at the Curse City set, there's several of these also. So it's kind of like someone fell in love with this concept that they're punctured through the earth. And I'm sure narratively we're going to see that pop up as part of a story or something somewhere. The Fellbats are great. These are the new Fellbats. They are. I didn't bring up an old Fellbats picture, but these are phenomenal. I wish they had more close-ups on them, but they're really nice. I like how far off the base that they come, they're floating. I like the fact that the bases aren't too gaudy. Like they're not. They're definitely coming from a graveyard type area, but they're not super blatant graveyard. They have obviously some stones and things like that, but they're relying more on tree branches, and I do like them. I like how this one is too. This is a great pose for it. So those are good. I think those are going to be a nice upgrade from what they have now, which is really outdated. The for those who don't know, the vampire line in Warhammer is really out of date. So it's great to see some fresh blood come in. Fresh blood come in. You like that? Soul Blight Grave Lords. That's the name of them. That's no surprise to anybody. So I'm very much looking forward to that. My son and I both. My son likes to play skeletons, so I'm sure there'll be some version of this that he's playing. But I'm very interested in seeing how you would play a pure, total, just vampire list. That would be awesome. They had a little teaser for a new god that's coming out, but there's a lot of fighting about what that means. These are a couple guys that came out for Dire Chasm, so Canaan's Reapers. The leader model on this, I'm assuming it's Canaan, is fantastic. The other ones I really don't like. So we'll go over this one first. I'll tell you all the good, and then I'll hit you with the goofy. So this one has, and this is well known for OCR. So this unit is from a line called the OCR Bone Reapers, and they are a skeleton type army. But their whole thing is that they take other bones from creatures and monsters, and then they create armor out of the bones to put on top of themselves. So that's why they're bulkier. That's why they look bigger, and that's why it gives. It's kind of it's a plus and a minus, right? The minus is it's all bones all day, right? So it gets kind of boring as far as, oh yeah, more bones, right? But beyond that, it's a way to break out of your traditional skeleton aesthetic. So it's not just skeletons walking around either. That's what we just saw previously, right? So this is more like possessed bones that have armor and stuff freed up to design around them. And they kind of took the aesthetic where, well, if we're going to do that, and they're supposed to be these great warriors from all these different regions, let's make that armor look multicultural, look like it comes from different things, and then mash it together. So they do that. Sometimes it's successful, and sometimes it's not. And that's the thing with these guys. I feel like it's a high risk, a high reward kind of design choice, because when it hits, you're like, that's really cool, and when it misses, you're like, I do not care about that, right? This one's a hit. I like it. I mean, you've got part of his body in what looks like almost like a samurai look. The long robe that is cloth here that's supposed to be all torn up, but the length of it kind of goes with the samurai look also. The headgear looks a bit like a samurai type deal that it could be. So a lot of it is cohesive in that way. The axe is a cool looking axe. I'm not going to pretend that it's not. It doesn't really fit a samurai, but I don't know that it has to, because it is a mashup aesthetic. But it is cool looking, and I do like it. I like the way that the blade looks. I like the handle is great, and the coloring's great, and it fits with the model really well. So I don't have any issues with this model in general. I think this is the best of the kind of mashups that you get out of OCR Bone Reapers. This is an example of where it goes goofy. I mean, it just looks like fat skeletons to me. This seems like they're trying to go with like a similar armor that would go with the previous guy, but it looks like football armor. It doesn't really look like it's anything special. And the pose is not really working for me. I mean, it's very static. Now, it could be that I'm looking on it head on, so maybe it's poor photography. But in general, I'm just not into it. He doesn't look great. Same here. I mean, the faces are just goofy. I feel like sometimes if it wasn't for the face, maybe the bodies would be okay. But they're thick, and I realize that people are like, yeah, well, they're thick because it's supposed to be like armor. I get that. It's still the bone color. It's just kind of boring. I mean, I feel like they're trying to make something boring exciting. That's how it feels to me. And the faces just don't do anything for me. They look goofy. The archer is okay. I think the pose is okay. The archer's bow is really good because it looks like a compound bow made out of bones. So I can get into that. I mean, it looks like something that we can relate to in our lives. But it's the aesthetic for these guys. Like I said, very hit or miss. This definitely, again, going back to that samurai style, feudal Japan kind of look. It's a little better with this thing just from a pose standpoint, but I just don't get it. I'm not super into it. Like I said, the leader's great. I like the leader. But even the flow of the leader's costume looks better than these. It's almost the fact that they're even, that they have everything going on both sides, where the leader has it only on one. It almost helps him be a little more dynamic. It's a miss. As a group, it's a miss. The leader, if he was just sold by himself, I'd totally buy it. Yeah, that guy would be great if I played this army, which I would not play this army. But anyways, so that's that, and that's coming out for Dire Chasm, which, for those who don't know, is a board game that leverages characters and the story from Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Necromunda, I don't play this game, but we can look at the models. They look okay. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be someone out there that's pissed at me because they're big Necromunda fans. I'm not a big Necromunda fan. I think that there's some fun choices. This is nice here from this. This looks like a zealot of some sort, like a priest. But all of this to me is kind of old school goofy. Now, you may be like, yeah, that's what I like about it. Okay, and that's cool. They're not poorly crafted. I mean, this is all great detail in here for this blaster. The flames look like they're good. You know what I mean? And then the way they case his head in and everything, that all looks good. It's a nice paint job. There's a book here hanging off them. They have a rope. Fills up the plate pretty well. So, I mean, they're not bad. I don't mind this one. Looks like another flame. This must be all flamethrowers, I'm assuming, this whole crew. I do like that he has like a little face mask, like his nose is burned off or something. But no, these look nice. They just look standard Necromunda to me. But again, I'm not a Necromunda guy, so I might be missing something. But from a modeling and how they fill up the base and everything, they look okay. They look like they fill up the base well. They use the space right. They're in robes, so their movement seems confined a bit. But also, it's a close quarters game, so maybe they purposely keep them confined looking. I don't know. But, I mean, no one's jumping or running. Everybody seems to be fairly static. This guy looks like he's running, but because he's in a robe, it looks like he's scuttling in a muumuu. So that's a C+, if you ask me. This is their new battle board. I feel like that's super congested. I mean, but that's it looks like Underworlds to me. I don't know why they're bringing back templates, though. I thought the whole thing with the newer Warhammer was that they were getting rid of all the templates. So again, Necromunda to me is a strange game. I don't quite understand the appeal to it, but there's people that totally love it, so I can understand. I can appreciate that at least. This is the new Skitari. This is a. Is he a Marshall? Yeah, Skitari Marshall, I believe, is what he is. And for those who know this line, I mean, he looks great. He fits right into the line. It's a very static pose, so he's obviously leadership role. But it looks great. And if I mean, the most I can say is it fits right in. It looks exactly the way you would expect a Marshall to look for that line. If you want to paint different kinds of metal, you want to buy AdMech. That's basically the answer. But yeah, no, he looks good. I don't mind this, but there's not a lot of reason to ponder on it. They only have the one view of it. And then, of course, the new AdMech book is coming out. And then there's this thing. I don't know, man. I know that there's a lot of Sisters of Battle fans out there. Some of their designs are awesome. The figures are really great. The ones that fly look really nice. This thing looks like a bloated tank. It's just got so much stuff on it. And maybe that's what you want. I don't know. To me, it looks like they packed way too much stuff on this thing. I don't get it. I like that you have different options, but that's most tanks. I mean, most of the tanks that come out have those options. I'm not a big fan. I think you could take off half of this crap and it would look better. I think that it's over decorated big time. But maybe that's the Sisters of Battle thing. Maybe that's what you want. I'm not a big fan of it. I think aesthetically, as the art guy, it's too much stuff. It's too much stuff. You're now competing with the function of the tank. So it's not serving its own purpose. It's looking pretty and not doing its job. Yeah, it's strange. Also, it's strange to have that much ornamentation and then it's just a black tank. I mean, if they were so enamored in how it looked, why would they just make it a black tank? I don't understand that either. So it's I don't know. It's if you're huge into Sisters of Battle, maybe it's a great thing. For me, it's a pass. And I'm saying that compared to other Sisters of Battle things that have come out that I'm like, oh, those are pretty nice. This is kind of like okay, they needed a tank. Like there's nothing special about it. And this thing, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't mind orcs. Orcs are fine. I don't mind squigs. Squigs are fine. I don't understand why you're trying to force space orcs onto squigs. When they already have don't they have like hot rods and stuff like that? Why would they ride? I don't get it. This is a total miss for me. And maybe I don't understand the fluff. I'll be the first to admit. So let's talk about just simply from design, right? Color-wise, no problem. Green, it's a little lighter green than I'm used to seeing for the orcs, but it works. And then the squig color is normal. The squig looks like it's really long, but the way that the metal is on it looks okay. The white metal, I guess that's fine. I mean, my feelings on this are really milquetoast. Like I don't have any big drive, and I really don't see. I could be totally wrong. I don't see an orc player going, oh yeah, that's what we've been missing. I don't feel like that's the case, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's the savage orc player, which in fantasy that's what you would call them, versus like an Ironjaw, who goes, oh good, I didn't want to ride a mechanical thing, I wanted to ride squigs, and this is a futuristic version of doing that. Maybe that was what they were going for, and maybe that guy exists. I've never met him though. So, and I think that's the whole thing. So a couple misses, a couple hits. I think in general the vampires, and I say this with all the bias in my heart, but the vampires I'm looking forward to because I do want to play them. And in general, they're putting out great stuff. I mean, in general, it's usually my complaints about Games Workshop is not usually about the design. It's usually about the cost. But they have teams of designers, teams of writers, teams of everything, and that costs money. So I can understand that too. The idea that you're going to buy, here's where that argument falls apart though. If anyone from Games Workshop is listening, the idea that in order to make a army that can fight, I have to buy 20 boxes of these guys and they're $50 a box, that's where your argument falls apart. Make it so that I don't have to run 8 billion, skeletons, and now we're talking. But until that day, it's overpriced. That's all. So, yeah, good release. I'd give it a B. I was not like over the moon with any one thing. I thought the vampires looked good. All the other stuff is good, but not like wow. It's more just like yeah, it's good stuff. So I will leave you with the fact that this mystery here of who this god that's awakening is can really change a lot of things. Because if it's the two rumors online right now, is it's either a Beast of Chaos god, which would be awesome because there's a ton of Beasts of Chaos and they're garbage right now, so that would be nice. Or it could be Kurnoth, which is a ancient wood elf god, and I've heard that kind of rumor online also, and I think that's a little more wishful thinking, just me personally. I would like it because I'm a wood elf player, but I would lean more towards that it's a old god from Beasts of Chaos, and that's still great. I mean, because they desperately need something to be a better army, so that'd be good. So, but yeah, no, a decent weekend release. I think one thing to keep in mind is when they're doing a release every couple months now, they're not all going to be like these mega Christmas type releases. So I think it's pretty good. But that's my feedback, and don't be afraid to leave me a comment down below, and I'll see you at the next one. Thanks.